Okay. Thank you, and Letitia, and good morning, everyone. It's Friday, baby. So let's get this going and start our weekend. I hope it has been a good week for everybody, and I hope the last two sessions, a Monday session and a Wednesday session, was a little bit insightful and also was a little bit helpful for you if you're a newcomer, if you're doing some refresher processing. I hope it was helpful. So today we're going to try and just go through some more of the processes on GenX. We're going to look at, first thing we're going to do, I noticed we change up something on us here, resources. We want to make sure you guys are aware of the different resources we have in terms of the processing. We since we're going to look at full transfer system today, we just have a quick reference card on that. We have the GenX single family file layout, just for all those who will need that file layout to do your import if you're currently doing manual entry. And you also want to mention the GenX on the web single family issuer training guide, and of course the full transfer system for issuers. So we have those resources that will help you with your processing. And of course, don't forget the resource. You have your AEs, and you always can get in touch with us at the GenX customer service support groups to help you with any other questions. Next slide, please. Oh God. Yes, it's me. It's Wade Gale. And working with me today is my colleague. We have James Lee and Maribel Kanan. We're both from the bank, all from the Bank of New York. I think next time when we do this training, we should have pictures of James and Maribel also. I shouldn't be the only one showing my face. Next slide. So document custodian transfer request GenX. Next slide. So we're going to talk about the types of document custodian transfer request. We're just going to give an overview of the document custodian request process, and we're going to have some quick tips. The reason why I wanted to put this in and why we wanted to do a little bit more deep dive on this topic in our webinar, because it has been over the last almost 2 years. It's been a flourish of document custodian transfers, and sometimes people get the process and sometimes it's not clear. So we wanted to spend some more time on this. So if this becomes a part of your process because you have to move your pools from one custodian to the next, you have an idea how it's done. Next slide. Okay. There are 4 types of document custodian transfer. Just to let you know, all document custodian transfer as of now, or right now, is done via GenX. That's the only way you're going to do your document custodian transfer. You have your complete document custodian transfer. You have the partial document custodian transfer. You have another complete document custodian merger, and you have a partial document custodian merger. I'm just going to give you some more information on that. Complete and partial transfer requests. Those are certification that transferred pools are due 12 months of the effective date of transfer. So that is something. If you did a partial or a complete transfer request, it's going to open up recertification. So just be mindful of that. So you'll have to do the recertification within 12 months of the date of transfer. Complete and partial merger requests. You do not need a new recertification of the affected transfer pools. The status of the pools pre-merger will remain the same. So that you have to take in consideration if you're doing that merger. And one important thing, once issuers submit the transfer request, the document custodian must certify the pending transfer request prior to the specified effective transfer date. Very important if you're going to do this process. A lot of times you'll put a transfer date and your custodian will go in much later after that date has passed and do the retrieval and do the certification. But what happens when that pool comes down on the back end to go through their due diligence on the GenX back end, that transfer will get rejected because of the transfer date has passed. So it's very important for you to plan that with your custodian, because maybe sometimes custodians are not going to sign off on these GenX tasks if they don't have the physical documentation, or they want to know that they have this so they can actually go into GenX and do the transfer. So there might have to be some coordination there. When am I getting the documentation from the new custodian? So once I do that, I can go in and verify the listing, and then I can go on GenX and do my certification. Next slide. This is just what the GenX screen looks like when the user is going to actually do the document custodian transfer and host communication. It tells you it says doc custodian transfer, and it brings up an FTN number, and you go through the process there. So we just want to bring up that screen for you. Next slide, please. Yes, I think we just have a short little demo just to give you an idea of what happens in that space. So it will start in...
Sorry, bear with me. I might have to... Oh, here we go. Sorry. Do I need to reload the video, Wade, or can you see it?
I can see it. Okay, we're going to go to Document Custodian Transfer. And we're going to go to the process of doing new. And then you have the 4 transfers there. This one we're just going to show what a complete transfer is. We're going to select our new custodian. We're going to put in the date of transfer. The person needs to add the date of transfer in this, so let me see what they're going to get when they save this. They're looking for that file that was done. Going to bring it in. Import complete. Save. Okay, so they did get an error message because the date of transfer is missing. So let's put in the date of transfer. It's a tape, so don't worry about the date there. We're going to save it. Once the information is saved, we're going to go to host communication. We're going to view that information. We're going to bring it over. Once it shows up there, we're going to submit it. Put in your information and your user ID, password. And once you click on OK and do the verification, if your RSA token is ready, it will do the submission for you. I think we had another video, but this one, that's why we have to do a deep dive for this one. We're going to go a little bit more into document custodian transfer, especially the partial transfer. What we showed you here was a complete. Complete, we did the easiest one just for demo. A complete, you're telling GenX that all of my portfolio, all of the custodian that I have, all of the pools that I have with custodian 1 is going to go to this new custodian. So I'm sending everything. So all of your pools is going to, if it was custodian 111 and you're sending it to custodian 333, all of those pools now is going to be on GenX system under custodian 333. That's a complete. But caution, please be sure you are doing a complete. A lot of times we'll get called to the hotline. People want to do a transfer, but they're not too sure what they're doing. And we only can advise you from the information you give us. And if you, sometimes people say, oh yes, we're doing a complete. We're moving all our pools from custodian Z to custodian W. And of course, the representative of the system in doing that, because that's what we were told. Because we don't like to tell you what you should do. We want you to tell us because you're the one who's doing the process. And then later, maybe a month later, down the road, they would come back and said, I thought the transfer that we did initially was wrong. It should not have been a complete transfer. It should have been a partial transfer. But guess what? Because they have other custodians that hold pools for them. So all the pools that were with the other custodians are now under one custodian. So it's very imperative, we want you to be very careful. When you call us and ask for guidance, make sure you know what type of transfer you're doing. Because sometimes we may have to go to GenMA for authorization to make the change behind the scene. Sometimes we can actually instruct the user to do the transfer over again. So, once you're doing those transfer over again, it's going to open up your research. So be very, very careful if this is going to be something you'll be doing in the future. Know what kind of transfer you're doing, because could affect where your pools are, and it could also affect what the information is stored on the GenMA's system. Next slide, please. Okay, just some quick tips. So everybody is aware. I think we had mentioned some of these, but we just want to go over. For complete document custodian transfer or merger, the issuer is required to submit a complete pool list. Yes. So if you're doing a complete, you need to submit all those pools that are with that custodian that's going to the new custodian. And in the same time, in GenX, but on your outside, you're also doing whatever needs to happen to send those documents to the new custodian. That should also be going on, because you know what? The new custodian, they have the right. If they don't want to go in and do a certification on the listing of pools, not until they do their due diligence and check that they have all the documentation in the physical form. So that has to be coordinated with you and the new custodian. For partial document custodian transfer or merger, the issuer is required to submit a complete list of pools being transferred, as well as pool listing for existing document custodian. Yes. So you have issuer Wade Gale Mortgage. Wade Gale Mortgage has two custodians. Custodian 1, custodian 2. But you're sending some of your pools from custodian 1 to a new custodian, custodian 5. So you have to have a listing of those pools that's going to custodian 5, but it's some of the pools, not all. Then you're going to have a listing of custodian 1, the pools that are remaining with custodian 1, and also the pools that are remaining with custodian 2. And that's going to go into the existing piece. And this is what we're going to try and go into a little bit more when we're doing that webinar, so people will get to understand that. We'll try and have some videos showing that, how it should be set up and what it should look like. But that's where some of the confusion happens when we're doing those, especially the partials. So we're going to fine-tune our presentation so we can have that information for you in that 45 to 1 hour session. The issuer should enter effective date of transfer as a business day of the month at least 3 days past the current date and not more than 6 months past the current date. So if you're setting up your transfers today, you want to put in a date not maybe for next Wednesday. And also you want to inform your custodian that's the transfer date. They need to go in and certify the pool before that date. And I had mentioned earlier, is a possibility they might refuse because they haven't received all the appropriate documentation. So you might have to maybe delete that transmission and maybe change a date that will fit them. So when they do receive all the documents, they can do the verification and go in and certify. So it's a partnership. You have to work with the new custodian on this. So I hope no one actually just go in and do a document custodian transfer, especially a new custodian, just because of word of mouth. They should have something that they're checking to say, these are the pools that I'm getting, so let me verify before I go in and certify. If a pool transferred with a final search pending, when the new issuer completes the pending final certification, that certification will close out both open final certification and pending recertification from the recent transfer. Let me read it again. If a pool is transferred with a final search pending, when the new issuer completes the final certification, that certification will close out. Both the final and the pending research will also be closed. So you all want to keep that in mind. An e-notification of approval or rejection is sent to the issuer and the new document custodian. So if something happens on our end after we download this and some of the pools got rejected, you're going to get a message that these pools did not belong to the issuer, these pools did not belong to the old custodian you're transferring from. So be careful on that. And also, pools that are terminated also get kickback because they're going to say these pools are terminated. So you want to keep that in mind too. If you have terminated pools in your listing, you might want to take those out because those are going to be rejected on the GenX side also when they download them. Pool listing may be imported or key entered directly into GenX. That is something we'll show you in the webinar. You have two options to do it. Of course, if you have a small volume and you feel like you don't need to build an import file, go by all means. You just do them manually, but we'll have that in one of our recordings also. And if you have a large population, I'm sure most likely the best way to go is to do the import. And we'll also, as part of our presentation, have that import file layout in our package so you can see what it looks like. And again, GenX on the web is your training, it's your single family training guide. We have that to go to the page and see how the document custodian transfer is done on page 89 that kind of walk you through some of the process. Next slide.
Hey Wade, we do have a few questions in the chat that I want to go ahead and read out before we continue. A question for Bud Riley regarding the bullet number 2. So it sounds like even in a partial transfer, you should still upload all pools.
Yes, for a partial transfer, if you're going to, first of all, upload the pools that's going to the new custodian, and then you have to list the pools that are remaining with the existing custodian. Yes, Bud, that has to be done as part of the process, yes.
All right, great. And another question from Margot Hill. Can I get a copy of the slides?
The slides are available on ginniemay.gov under Issuer Training. There's a section for training presentations, so I'm dropping that in the chat.
Anything else? Oh, thank you very much, Letitia, on that. Okay, so that was our short journey. Thank you, James. That was just a quick preview of document custodian transfer. Hopefully, we'll go into it a little bit more in depth, especially with the import part of it. That was a good question, Bud asked in reference, do you have to still upload all the other pools? And the answer is yes. So we'll go into that a little bit more in depth in that webinar in November. This we're going to go to pool transfer system. This is just an overview. We're not going to anything in depth on this. We just want to tell you that it's also a part of our process. It's not a part of GenX. I'm sure you know that. It's a part of you'll access PTS, so we call it Pool Transfer System, through MGM. But we just want to give you a couple tips on this before we kind of end our session for the day. Next slide. And again, if this is a new group and you're doing pools for the first time, most likely you're not going to do any pool transfers right now because you're just building your portfolio. And we're going to look at types of pool transfer, overview of issuer transfer process on PTS. Next slide. Types of pool transfer. We have the standard pool, the selling issuer transfer pools to another issuer by mutual agreement. Then you have another type called the related pool party. Wow, party. That sounds good. It's a Friday. Okay, regression. Let's go back. The selling issuer transfer pools to another issuer by mutual agreement. Issuers are related. And then you have the merger. The selling issuer transfer all pools to a related issuer due to internal reasons in a business merger. The merging issuer initiate the process. So those are some of the three types of transfers we have. Pool transfer system for issuer, we have that program, not program. You have that manual that you can look at and get more in depth in that. So we have the standard pool, we have the related pool party, and we have the merger. Next slide, please. Just want to give you some overview on the process on PTS. PTS provides an automated means for the issuer to do the following. They're going to initiate and update pool transfer request information. They're going to import and update the pool numbers being transferred. They can view and receive the associated approval documentation. They can approve or reject pool transfer requests from the selling issuer. They can access and view reports, and they can confirm associated transfer fees. So those are some of the processes you can do on the pool transfer. If this is going to be something you'll be doing, if you're doing that now, or if you're doing that in the future. Next slide.
Hey Wade, real quick, we
yes.
do have another question from Bud Riley in the chat that I want to go ahead and read out. Alrighty, and the question from Bud is, how do transfer fees vary from the various types of transfers?
Bud, you're asking me that question. I am not too sure, but I can get the answer to you from Margaret. No, I was going to mention Margaret Williams. Margaret Williams is our subject matter expert, and I'm sure, Bud, I could get that answer back from Margaret, and I can get that to you. And Bud, do you know the answer? If you know the answer, you can always share it with us. You can open your mic if you want to do that. Okay, Bud is saying that
Riley replied, I think the related party transfer isn't charged a fee. Not sure the microphone is working.
Let me go ahead and I'll allow everyone microphone rights and give everyone a few seconds to work that out. I'll activate it right now. Sorry about that. Everyone should have microphone rights. Just make sure you stay muted throughout the course of the presentation. But feel free to obviously chime in when you have a question. We'd love to hear from you. Sorry about the delay on that.
Bud, if you're there, can you go? I know Bud is not shy. Okay. Uh, when, but I'll just go on. When you're ready to go, just chime in and then we'll just give you the floor. That's no problem, sir. Just want to show you how you'll get into pool transfer.
Okay, Wade, I think it worked.
Very good. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're on, bud.
Okay, great. I think the related party transfer is not subject to a fee like the standard transfer.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Anything else? Any other tips you want to give us on PTS transfer, bud? Yes, bud is just one and done. But let's see what he says. That was all. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for that input. Just want to show you how you'll go into My GenMA now and access the pool transfer system. Once you go into My GenMA, you're going to go on the tools, and from tools, you're going to see PTS. Of course, I told you GenMA likes the acronym, but of course, PTS, Pool Transfer System, that's what it means. And it tells, the second area tells you what it looks like under the application, and the third section show you the pool transfer screen. So let's move to the next slide, please. And of course, we have a quick reference card. We always try to give users those reference card. And I know that the other day there were some changes to PTS, and maybe we need to also maybe update these quick reference card if needs be. But the pool transfer quick reference card, it provides procedure and necessary information to how to request a pool from the screen, how to request a new transfer, to access the submission center because you have to submit it, to view the status, to accept the pool transfer, and to run reports. So that's what you'll get from that pool transfer system. Quick reference card. Next slide. Oh, are you for real, Wade? Q&A? This is shorter than what I thought. Yes, we were just giving you a quick little overview of PTS, because most of the time the people who are actually doing the new pool processing are not the ones who actually do the PTS transfer because of separation of duty in your shop. But we just want to try and tie that into the document custodian transfer piece too. That's why we presented those few of those slides. Okay, Q&A, and I'll give it over to Letitia if she wants to control this piece.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Wade, I would like to ask folks that are attending, by a show of hands, if you look at the top of your screen, you should be able to raise your hand there. Tell us, do any of you participate in the transfer process? Can you raise your hands for us and let us know if this topic is specifically relevant to any of the folks that have joined us today? Okay. Oh, so we've got three folks: Jim, Aaron, Melissa. You guys all do transfers. Okay. Corinne. Anybody else? Okay. So we do have a few folks on the phone that are doing transfers. That's good to know. Misha.
Hey, Letitia,
Misha,
real quick, we do have one question in the chat real quick that I wanted to go ahead and read out from Maisha. So to confirm, we are able to transfer document custodian by pools and not one complete transfer of all the pools.
Wade, are you on
And
mute?
yes, I was. If I understand the question, the document custodian, you have a complete transfer, which you'll transfer all your pools from one custodian to the new custodian. Then you have partial. You might be transferring just some of your pools from one custodian to the new custodian. And you might have a couple more custodian that you're leaving with you. So you have complete and partial. So you can do both on the system. Oh, I'm looking to complete transfer in the next 30 days. So if it's a complete transfer, then it's all your portfolio from one custodian to the new custodian. So you have to get your listing set up so you can do that. If you need help, don't hesitate to call us, Misha, and we can walk you through the process if you get to that point, okay? Oh, Misha, I was hoping you'd give me a little break until Monday, but I'll take your call this afternoon, no problem.
There goes happy hour. Any other questions? So we covered a lot of content over the last 3 days. I know today was on the shorter side, but there were a lot of topics that were discussed. And we just want to make sure if there's anything that you had a chance to go back and chew on a little bit more, that you have some additional questions. They don't have to be isolated to the topics of today. You are welcome to do that. Wade, did you already, I might have fallen asleep. Did you already cover pool transfers? Or, I mean, PTS?
Yes, I did. Yes,
wow.
3 slides.
That was quick. There it is.
It's just a couple of slides.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, so like I was mentioning, if you have questions over any of the content that we covered over the last 3 days, or other questions regarding our pool processes and systems, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat. I think Ryan has also unmuted activated your microphone, so you're welcome to unmute and ask it over the audio as well. Andrew has a question. In 2015, GenX data requirement was added for the loan origination date. Is this the same as the note date, or is it the same as the disbursement date, like a refi?
My understanding is the same as the note date. Andrew?
Anybody in the class have some experience with this one? I don't get to play around in GenX, so I rely on you guys to be the experts on this one. Waiting for Andrew to type. Okay, so if a mortgage got certified with the wrong date, is there a chance to correct the data before final certification?
Not in GenX. The only way you could make that correction is in a manual form, but during final you could do it. You could make the change. But if the pool was released and issued, you can't make the change right away in GenX. You'll have to wait until the final certification part of it. But if you can do the manual change and your custodian will accept that for the time being, that can be done. Just print the documents, change the information manually if you need to authorize it, and send it off to them so they have that in their records. You're welcome, sir.
Okay. Any other questions out there before we jump to our next topic? Okay. All right, so I want to chat with you guys just a little bit about our new pool processing system that's coming down the pipeline. But before I do, I'm going to ask Ryan to go ahead and launch our polling questions. Again, you guys, these are focused on today's content. Did we give you what you needed today regarding the content that was presented with pool transfer system and our document custodian transfers? Let us know if we hit the right spots. But while you're doing that, I am thrilled, is an understatement. I am totally geeked to let you guys know that yesterday we had a kickoff session with a small group of single-family issuers that is going to begin production pooling transactions in our new single-family pool delivery module, SFPDM. So you're probably thinking, so wait, you just gave me a GenX training and now you're going to roll out a new system. Yeah, kind of, except there's a lot more to adopting the new pool delivery module than just jumping over to the new system. If you guys have not been following this, and I know many of you have because I see some repeat offenders on my participant list, Ginnie Mae is migrating to a MISMO compliant pool delivery data set. Oh, Amy, I knew you were going to ask that question. So Ginnie Mae is migrating to a MISMO compliant pool delivery data set, and you've been asked to begin developing to that data set. Okay. If you were not aware of that, you need to go visit the modernization page of the Ginnie Mae website. We have published our pool delivery data set specs, and we have a full-blown implementation guide available on the modernization page. This has been in motion for, to the tune of years at this point. So if you thought you heard something about it, but you were only kind of partway paying attention, or you remember us saying something back in the day, it is a real and living beast right now, you guys. I need you to go get familiar with those pool delivery data set implementation guide. Yes, I know, right, Amy? And so I need you guys to go get familiar and start working on that if you have not already. Many of you already have. The other thing that you need to know is we introduced the validation and testing tool, VTT application into My Ginnie Mae many months ago, actually at the beginning of this year. And that is the tool that you should be using to test those data sets that you are now developing, okay? So even before we do a full release of SFPDM, you can be developing and testing those MISMO compliant data sets, okay? So there are some activities that need to be completed on your end before you can begin pooling in SFPDM using the PDDs. So that is what you need to be focused on right now. We will be releasing an APM in January, and that APM will kick off an 18-month requirement for you to transition into pooling in SFPDM, okay? So 18 months from the release of that APM, we will cease to pool in GenX. All right, so this is actually the last live event that we will be conducting on GenX pooling. Okay, these recordings will be available on the Ginnie Mae website. We already have these recordings actually from the previous delivery of this session on the Ginnie Mae website. You can visit those recordings if you want additional information or need to provide information to your colleagues on GenX pooling. However, we are going to transition our pool processing and systems trainings into using SFPDM from this point forward. So the GenX pooling system will still be available, and you will be able to pool in it for several more, for quite some time actually. But we are actively beginning the transition to SFPDM and MISMO, okay? So the information that Wade's provided you today should still be helpful to you as you navigate Ginnie Mae business processes and systems in the foreseeable future. But I do want you to have an eye to the future and know that SFPDM is coming. And we hope to be able to, we are in our early adoption period, and we hope to be able to release that application to you broadly, about mid-year next year, okay? So at this time, continue to pool in GennyNet, work on developing those PDDs, and keep your ear to the ground when it comes to our single-family pool delivery module. If you are not already participating, on a monthly basis, we are hosting meetings with our single family issuers to provide you updated information and to assist you on your transition to that MISMO compliant pool delivery data set. Please make sure you are participating or have an ear to the ground on what's happening in those sessions, okay? It is also an opportunity. They are actually listening sessions, so they are an open forum. It's an opportunity for you to share with us any challenges that you are having in navigating in that space, whether it's working with your vendors, whether it is developing your own pool delivery data set, any of the elements that are in that data set. We are there. We have a team of experts that are there every single month to talk with you about this transition. Okay, so definitely go to the Ginnie Mae website and check out our training announcements. Sign up for notifications to be pushed to you via email so that you're constantly aware of those sessions when they are posted and what's happening. Another reason you're going to want to go to the Ginnie Mae website and sign up for those email notifications, the quarterly webinars that we were talking about earlier. We are about to post training announcements for those 2 quarterly webinars, and you'll be able to register for them as soon as those announcements are posted if you have signed up for email notifications off of ginniemay.gov, okay? So that is what we've got coming. I see you guys have, many of you have had a chance to fill out the survey. As I also mentioned, please don't hesitate to drop in the comments any future training topics you would like us to focus on, especially for those quarterly webinars. We're really going to take that time to go past this high level, information and dig a little deeper on some of the topics that were covered. So if there's a topic that you are particularly interested in or want us to focus on during those quarterly webinars, definitely let us know. We are open to receiving that feedback.